Hi, welcome back. Thank you for joining me, and thank you to those of you who have recently subscribed and joined us. It's wonderful to have you here. We're going through the text of A Course in Miracles, and it really doesn't make any difference where you jump in here in this series of videos. It's been going on for 4 years, so as we talked about in the most recent recording, in response to a really good question about where do I start all of this, you start A Course in Miracles where you're called to start it. Whether that's the text, the workbook for students, the manual for teachers, one of the two supplements, whatever draws and pulls you in is what you're meant to begin with. So these videos, of course, have been going on for many years, and well, there is a lot of material here. So here's one thing that's worth knowing. Each and every video talks about the basic fundamental ideas of the course. So, no matter where you appear to find yourself in this journey, whether you're a long-time student, a beginning student, somewhere in between, or not a course student at all, and you're simply checking this out, welcome. There's a lot to gain from each and every one of these conversations. They're all directly relevant to where you are. How can I say that? You're meant to be here because you're watching, which means there's a message for you. And very well could be that there are multiple messages for you. You'll know them when you hear them. So, with that, let's jump right in to the context for our conversation, which is the fact that we are making all of our suffering, like it or not, we're causing our own suffering. It appears in the world that other people in positions of power, other people that are not in positions of power that still have a relationship with us are causing our suffering. They're making us feel badly. Well, that's really not the case. Despite all that goes on in the world, one of the central ideas of A Course in Miracles here is that, well, we're not seeing things as they are. And this is not unique to A Course in Miracles. We're talking spirituality in general here. Things are not as they seem, are they? Exactly. Of course not. Of course they're not. This course aims to turn our perception right side up. It is upside down. We don't see things as they are. We don't see ourselves as we really are. We don't see our brother as he really is. In other words, we don't see other living things as they really are, truly are. We don't see the world for what it really is not. We don't see things as they are. One reason why is we're clinging to a hope of satisfaction, some hope of satisfaction in the world as we appear to see it. We think the answer is out there in the world as we see it, in stuff, in a slimmer, more toned bod, in a better relationship, in a new relationship, in a new job, in a new state, in a new province, a new territory, new country, new city, new this, new that, new car, new shirts, new spiritual tradition, new modality, all of this stuff. We're seeking satisfaction in the world out there. We're seeking, in other words, the peace of God where it is not to be found. That's what we all deep down want. How can we say this? It's all there is. God is the only reality. All else is illusion. There are very few spiritual traditions that say this. You're paying attention to one of them. God is the only reality, all else is illusion. Surely we're not conditioned to think that. So, of course, we all want the peace of God. It's all there is. So, whether we have framed that idea in our mind in those exact words or not doesn't make any difference. We're all on the spiritual path because we deep down recognize that this is what we want. So, we're looking for it. It is not to be found in stuff in the world out there. It's not to be found in your intimate relationship in the world out there. It's not to be found in this communication device thing right here. Yeah, no, it's within. So we look within, not without. We've been looking in the wrong place. We can choose right now, when else, to stop looking in the wrong place and look within instead. So what's really going on is the world that we appear to inhabit is just a picture of what's in our mind. It's projected outward and it appears to contain, envelop, and surround us. We made it, we can set it aside. Again, there aren't that many spiritual traditions that say that either, which incidentally does not make A Course in Miracles better than anything else that is out there. It's teaching us that to have a hierarchy at all is completely meaningless. The very idea of better than, worse than, less than implies a separation. It is utterly meaningless because there is no separation of any kind. Therefore, this course is not superior to any other tradition. Here on this wobbling, spinning ball of rock, it's one of many doors in spirituality. And right here in the 21st century, on this wild, made up, illusory thing called linear time, and this weird timeline, and this weird thing that we've gotten together and called the Gregorian calendar, which many of us in the world have adopted as though it's truth itself, made it up. Anyway, it appears here that we're spinning out of control. And it seems that there always pops up something new and shiny to divert our attention, especially here with this 21st century technology and the internet, where every single spiritual tradition extant in the world is available to us. And we can find out information about anything. And if we don't believe the source of that information, we can fact check it or check another site. It's all available. And here you are. So let's talk about this central idea of looking within. Here in chapter 25, section 2 of the text, Jesus presents us with a very handy visual here that appears in several different places, in fact, in A Course in Miracles, and it's a framed picture. It's the idea of a picture and a frame. When we see our brother as he is not, when we look at our brother, in other words, every other living thing, and it only appears, by the way, to be other, there is no other in truth. But while there appear to be 8 billion plus wild, screaming things called human beings running around and, oh, doing our thing called life, and all the stuff that that entails, well, we run around thinking that's what we are. To continue with the frame and the picture analogy, we're not seeing things as they really are. And we're in fact ignoring the picture entirely. When you see your brother as a body, limited to a body, you're looking at only the frame, judging the frame, and fixating on the frame and ignoring the picture completely, focusing on the outward form and ignoring the content completely, focusing on external appearances and ignoring the meaning, the truth, the essence completely. It's as though we've chosen to cover our eyes and not see. Not flattering. It's not supposed to be. The ego is what wants to be flattered and coddled and babied and stroked and all that fun stuff. Yeah. Spirituality is an adult endeavor. We've been paying attention to the wrong thing, gawking at the frame in adoration 1 minute and then in abject hatred the next, as we lash out and judge our brother and fail to see him as he really is. Therefore, because there's no separation of any kind, we fail to see ourselves as we really are. When you judge someone else, you're judging yourself. Simple idea, it's the way it works. When you forgive someone else, when you choose to see your brother truly, you see yourself truly as you are, which is not the physical body. And we all know that. That's why we're on the spiritual path. Yes, there's more to our experience, there's more to it than eating, breathing, sleeping, checking our email, deleting as many messages as we possibly can before getting to the ones that matter, because there are 853 spam messages in our inbox. Doing daily life. We can all relate to that a little bit about email. There's more to it than that. We've been looking at the frame and ignoring the bigger picture, the meaning. So here's what we do. Because we're so conditioned, habituated, accustomed to looking at the frame and judging accordingly. This person is evil. This person's great, fantastic. He did what I wanted him to do. Ooh, I love him now. 5 minutes later, right? And that up, down yo-yo that we call life that has us overwhelmed, exhausted, stressed, and paying attention to spirituality in the first place because we recognize there's more to it than that. Yeah, of course there is. All that. We have a choice, and this is something that A Course in Miracles presents to us in many different places throughout the Course and in many different ways. We have a choice as to how we see things, and it is a choice. We can continue to look at our brother as he is not, seeing only the frame and ignoring the picture, or we can choose to see him as he is. In other words, we can choose a different frame. We can choose to see our brother as a frail, weak human body, which we'll naturally despise because we see ourselves, so we see our own decay, we see our own foibles, we see our own frailty, or we could choose to look at him differently. We have a choice between looking at our experience with the ego as we've been doing, seeing separation everywhere we go, or we can look at it with the Holy Spirit. We can choose a different frame that does not hide the picture, but frames it the way a picture should be framed. You're not in awe of the frame when you look at a beautiful picture. You look at the beautiful picture and then maybe notice the frame later. The Holy Spirit is linked to God. So you could say that the Holy Spirit is God's frame. The Holy Spirit and God are one. There is no separation of any kind. Guess what that means? You're one with God, aren't you? So is everyone else. Remember, there is only one. There's no anyone else. That's an idea that we're not conditioned to believe, so hence the repetition. Honestly, we need it. We need it as adult learners. So the Course delivers this message to us because we need it in our stubborn determination to see things as they are not. So let's channel, shall we, some of that stubborn determination to see things as they are, to choose to look at our brother with the Holy Spirit, to look at our experience differently with our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is God's frame, to follow this visual of the frame in the picture. This frame does not obscure the picture. It's only our own decision to be separate and our continued stubborn insistence on seeing ourselves as separate that obscures the real picture. We stop at the frame and ignore what it frames. We could choose God's frame instead of our own ego frame. And when we do that, we will see the masterpiece. Choose to see God's frame instead of your own, and you will see the masterpiece in practical, moment to moment life. Love your brother for what he truly is. Love him for the truth in him. Forgive. Extend love. Naturally, we'll want to go to, but this person is doing cruel and evil things. I do not approve. All right. Perhaps you have a personal relationship with this person. Perhaps it's some world figure or a political figure or a business figure or something like that. And we all have moments each and every day where we find we're simply unable to go there with forgiveness of this person or this group of people? Well, we start with what is right in front of us that we can forgive. And you will be shown this by our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit, who will show you anything that's not wholly joyous, even if it seems rather insignificant at the time, is an opportunity to forgive. It's an opportunity to practice what we need to practice here as students of this course. Seeing our brother as he is and loving him for the truth in him, which is truth. It's in you. As you see him, you see yourself. What would you see? Your own viciousness, your own limited perspective, your own frailty, your own mistakes, repeated mistakes, compounded mistakes? Or would you rather see your holiness, truth, your radiance, truth, your limitlessness, truth, love, joy, boundless joy? What would you rather see? See that in your brother. You see it in yourself. That's how it works. The resistance is extraordinary. Expect it if you're getting it right now very strongly. Yeah, happens a lot. All resistance is of the ego. And if the visual picture of the frame and the picture is helpful to you, switch frames. That's the choice that we have every moment of every day. Rather than using the ego's frame, we use the Holy Spirit as the frame. God's frame. We switch frames of reference. Yeah. Switch frames of reference and you see things differently. Use the ego's frame. You can't see the picture at all. Use the Holy Spirit as the frame. Use God's frame. You see the masterpiece. Which is it? Thank you for joining me. So, if you're brand new to this, welcome. And this course doesn't mess around. I mean, haven't we all messed around enough? Played around and played it small, limited, played it really small and limited. Yeah, we could all choose to see things differently today. So I hope that you may. And these videos exist so that we can learn these lessons. And the repetition is designed. The course repeats itself, as does any spiritual tradition. It's a repetition of the same ideas over and over. So this modern cultural attitude of, that's so yesterday. I've seen this before. Okay. Did you learn it? Truly? No? Oh, okay. Right. That attitude of that's so yesterday does not help us on the spiritual path at all. Because we do have a choice. There are multiple spiritual traditions at our fingertips with the click of a mouse these days. Anything is available online, and we can use spirituality the same way we use our relationships, our jobs, our clothing, everything else here in the world. We can recycle them one after another, seeking happiness in something that appears to be outside us, but we're not looking in. Look within. Yeah. So you could recycle spiritual traditions, and people do. People often come to A Course in Miracles saying that they've seemingly tried everything and still not found what they're looking for. Exactly. Yeah. This course points right to truth. it invites us to look on it of our own free will and volition. Ready? Excellent. Join me. And if you haven't subscribed, you can join me in that sense as well. That's the prompt in the corner of your screen. Just click that, and you'll be invited to join us. There are many videos that appear each week, but about 4, 5, or 6 on the average. There's always something that needs to be discussed and learned and talked about on the spiritual path after all. So, questions are most welcome, by the way. If you have questions or comments, please leave them here, even if it's just popping in to say hello. I'd love to hear from you. And I thank you for tuning in and invite you to keep tuning in again, because there's always a message for you. You'll know what that was here today. And should you tune in again on the next video, which I invite you to do, there'll be another message then, or maybe more than one. All right. Thank you for joining me.